Welcome back, everyone, to the last match of the day, and as you have seen, it's going to be the Console League portion. We're going to be watching one of the matches that we missed out on yesterday, as Nick had said, as we left that last set. And if you'll recognize, well, we just did a big old swapperoo. Now we're in here.
Yep. We're going to be seeing kind of a similar flavor matchup, I think. You said it best, between Radiant and for Bustdown to what we just saw with Nation of Power and Bork. One team is the stronger in his story, in the standings, I think in everything pointing their way, but there is definitely an opportunity here for Radiant to make a stand if they can get themselves a good draft and play like we know they can. Then maybe they do get a map here.
The only thing I think that is going to bring this a little closer is the fact that I believe it's a 2 versus 3 instead of what we had today, which is like 1-3, 1-4, or 2-4 kind of thing. So being able to come in, we're looking at it, and if you want to see what happened for the rest of the console games, we actually have all of those, everything that has been decided up. And Onslaught winning 3-2, I actually believe that means, unfortunately for them, I think Heating Up still retains first place. Can't remember quite what the numbers were. Dave was the expert on that one. I'm sure he can get into it as it comes through. And, well, it doesn't matter because we'll be able to look through all the standings as they are in just a little bit. But we're going to be looking primarily today at Bustdown and Radiant, one of the matches. I think overall, the matches this week, there was only one that could have possibly decided LAN, and it was that Heating Up Onslaught.
And that was it for sure. Here are the EU standings, Xbox and PS4. As you can see, 7-3, 3-7. Not anything to be decided in terms of standings, who's going to MSI, seeding, or any of that, really. It's just Bustdown versus Radiant today. Like Gore mentioned, the one matchup that did matter today was that Heating Up versus Onslaught NA PS4 matchup, which you can take a look at right here.
And there it is. That was it. It was that mention. I think it was Onslaught needed to win in a 3-0, I believe. Maybe a 3-1 would have done it as well. Or a 3-1 would have tied it. And so it was going to be 3-0 that they needed to be able to move forward. Unfortunately for them, it was a 3-2, which means that even though they were able to take 2 down, Heating Up still stand on top, and it's by the single map.
That's tough.
That's the unfortunate standings of the numbers. You needed the 3-0 to confirm it today.
I think there is still one more week of Console League, I think, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So if
technically there's a chance.
There's a chance, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think both those teams are going to just 3-0 next week, and it's going to be the same old standings.
If Heating Up 3-1 and Onslaught 3-0, then they become tied, and then I think it goes to head-to-head, and then it goes it goes down the list of changes that come through, but. Overall, those are the ones I think that are going to be very important. I think for the most part, that's the only region right now where it's like, man, something could change for MSI, and there's only 1 week to do it. So they're really hoping those bottom teams practice. But looking back towards what we're going to see today, Radiant specifically coming in and having a couple of players that are flexing in, kind of subbing through for them as well. But we're going to be looking at, again, one of the more aggressive style front lines, one of the guys that can make a big difference in IGU. And again, it is very much in that vein that we kind of talked about earlier when we were looking at like Sheepa and Kamaker, like they make the difference. Yeah,
you need to. This off-tank role is so important, and this, while not all the characters and champions are the same, I think the off-tank is still a very important part of the console meta. This guy that makes the space for those Vivians, for those Tyras, for those Victors. They love their mid-range, hit scan, auto rifle characters, but it's still an important principle of the overall game of Paladins that you need somebody to make some space, control the map, and allow you some breathing room to make those plays. And Naiju is going to be playing that role for Radiant, so he is going to be such a critical role if they're going to stand a chance here against Bustdown.
I think it's going to be a big one, and Bustdown is probably the team, admittedly for Radiant, that is closer, right? Cyclone, I don't believe, has lost a single set. There's still 0 losses overall. Had a couple of map losses, but most of those have been to Bustdown. So Radiant are looking to try and break them down. And one player that's been coming in kind of off and on, technically I believe the sub here for Bustdown is Aryavan. And I believe is subbing in for today as well. So we're going to be seeing probably someone pretty interesting overall. Aryavan has been incredibly strong in a lot of weeks.
Yeah, and like we just talked about with Naiju in the off-tank role, if you're the guy playing this mid-range hit scan, you're playing those Victors, Vivs, whatever you manage to get, those are usually the power picks, usually the high-priority characters that if you pick them early, you're really putting, you're giving up your most valuable picks in the draft. If you're not getting value from those characters, that's where you get yourself into trouble. So sub or not, has to step up to the plate today.
Well, Stone Keep's going to be where we end up going first. And overall, this is one of those maps that I think has become a standard. We actually, just saw this in the last set, and it is a map that can very easily go 4-3, can very easily go 4-0, depending on the team and how much control they have. But Bustdown, they ban out the Victor. And again, for people who are maybe used to watching the minor league today, there's going to be a couple of changes to console. Higher priority on like Victor, Talus, Vivian, more than you would see pretty much in any PC meta.
And I think this is kind of cool to mix and mash these broadcasts together for just before the MSI. This is the first crossplay tournament that we're going to be doing, so you will be seeing these console teams.
Today, the official first crossplay broadcast.
Yeah, there you go. You will be seeing these console teams play up against the minor league teams. Those guys will then go on to try and qualify on and play for those final 2 spots in the MSI where they can maybe square off against PPL team and see how they do. I'm definitely looking at some of these minor league teams to make a pretty good run, and maybe especially Penta. I think they get a lot of respect amongst the PPL guys, so we'll see how far they can make it.
And I know we've talked about it in the past, but when I'm looking at console teams right now, Elevate, one of the teams that's confirmed to be going, I feel like they're one of those sleeper teams. Like, a lot of players, I don't think any of the players that are coming to MSI will look over them, but it is like that, oh, they're a console team, what could they do? Those guys are really, really solid. And from what I know a lot of people, because you'll be able to play, you can choose, I think, controller or keyboard once you get here for the crossplay. And so that will probably equal the playing field a little bit. Genos, Leon, Barrack locked in there for Bustdown. Khan, Tyra, Atlas for Radiant. And admittedly in power picks, Radiant I think are kind of flexing a little more. But Genos, Leon, and Barrack are nothing to scoff at.
If there is a keyboard option for the console teams, I think what they should do is if they have somebody who wants to be an EV player, just practice PC EV. But I think for everyone else, I think you can
stick with what you've been doing.
Do what you do, right? Yeah. They've been doing it for 2 years, so it feels like you'd want to stick with that in terms of what you've been practicing, what you've been getting comfortable on. But if you want to have an EV player compete, then I think you might need to bring out the old MKB.
MKB. Either way, Bustdown, pull out the Bomb King at the very end there. Naceris to tidy up what Radiant have picked up. Out of these two, do you have one? I mean, for Stone Keep, I honestly think both of these draft fit really well, but do you think Radiant's front lines are going to be able to make them a little stronger?
I actually do like Radiant's draft better on paper for me. I mean, the Khan Atlas, the Amane, like they have what they need, man. They have 2 great frontliners. They have 2 great mid-rangers. I really do like their comp better on paper.
Well, they've got the power picks. The question is whether or not they have the power to make those picks work. And to find out that, we're going to jump down to the casters as we go into Game 1.
Appreciate it, fellas. Bringing in the Console League to round out our day here. And already some interesting drafts coming through. Yet again, though, another Saris comes through as opposed to the Damba. I guess the way we had talked to some players and sort of, all right, once Genos goes through, it's just down to personal preference, basically, for the last 3.
Just about.
But I know some of us are not the biggest fan of Saris. I mean, is that more so just what her kit brings?
When you compare it to some of the things that Ying does a little easier, you say Ying has an ultimate that's the big payoff that's easy. Saris has the heal. That's the constant payoff that's easy but more selected. You know, Void Abides being baked into her kit, Dave, I'm not saying anything very epic, although it sounds like it should be, thanks to the music intro here. It baked into the kit. It's strong, and it actually improved her. It made her relevant. I think before that, Saris would not have been picked. I think Ying would have been the clear pick here. And even things like Furia. But with that AoE healing, it allows you to play certain maps in a way that Saris never was allowed to play before. So it's really preference, and we see Maldama just ignored here in the console scene for the most part. With teams.
That's very, very true. And then, of course, looking at Radiant, they've, again, sort of honestly similar, not too dissimilar, I should say, to like a Bork, have kind of been trending upward. I mean, although they're sort of in that 3rd, 4th spot in this region, they've looked a little better as of late doing it. Obviously, these teams are essentially locked in for MSI at this point, but looking a little better. Taking over the high ground now is Bustdown with the help of 1 kill from Aryavan, but that's all that this fight is going to have in it. Radiant are just going to back off. Health bars are low. Numbers are not in their favor.
Yeah.
And Bustdown take over the point.
And to me, this is just a bit of an over-aggression based on what they thought would be given to them through the healing from Saris and the group healing, but there is an essential cooldown to that. And itemization has not been maximized. She doesn't have Chronos 2, Chronos 3 yet, and although that, you know, she's able to work very well without those items, the little bit, that extra second, they are vulnerable, especially with how much damage is on the side of Bustdown. So 78% and counting.
Wow.
Radiant lose Atlas. That's a big loss there.
That is a big loss, and it's just Whitey, I should say, up top on the Ashe, just controlling that high ground. 3, 4 members of Radiant at times, all focusing their fire on Ashe. Shoulder bash gets Whitey out alive. Bustdown capture point number 1, and look how aggressive they're already getting into the base of Radiant. The payload has barely even moved out of the starting spot. They're already getting Radiant nice and zoned back here. First round of ultimates starting to come through. King Bomb is the first with Enlightenment right behind it. Assert Dominance up soon as well for Bustdown here. Radiant will have a little bit to defend with, though. They'll have Convergence and Crossfire. It's not too helpful when Aryavon gets kills to start off all of these fights. Assert Dominance, though. Oh, nearly so close there from Naiju. Whitey, though, being the beneficiary of a little bouncing off the pillar there on the right-hand side.
But Dave, look at the pace of this.
It's
barely 3 minutes gone by, and Bustdown have already busted down the castle gates, forcing through times and spaces. Whitey feels like he's just running deja vu. Not the talent, but the thing. He keeps doing the right side, shoulder bash back, get healed up, and push down the right side, and Niju is not able to hold that little con shield. Not big enough for that big man in armor, and I'm not sure anyone's big enough to stand in front of it. It's a 2-0 real fast.
I mean, I would argue that the kill from Dreams was not even really a kill in that fight at all. I mean, the payload moved forward and was in, and then the kill came through. No deaths for Bustdown. Of course, that means no kills for Radiant in that first round. Sheik, though, undying, just staying out of the fight as much as possible. But you're right, though. It was so much of Whitey. All right, I'm going to drop my shield, get in your face, poke you down.
Fire.
All right, I'm a little low. I better
shoulder bash.
better get out.
Get
and reach.
healed.
And it was a clockwork-like effort there from Bustdown. Walked right into the base, and then again, I mean, no kills. They just, the pressure, the scaredness, the fear, I guess I should say, on the side of Radiant to even move forward because of their health bars.
Radiant are in a good position. It's kind of scary because Radiant's comp almost should win this. I mean, you look at it, there's 2 shields, sure.
Wow.
But Yui already finding an early kill through time and space, not utilized. The Enlightenment trying to make up for it. One of the Targaryens and Paladins, either Genos or Leon, using their ultimates to some decent success here. And Whitey, of course, already pushed out with shield in hand. Misses the early dismount, so he's probably still going to get a chance to touch, but now doing some damage.
He gets the metaphorical dismount thanks to the Radiant members having to bust out of their horses in order to fire and use their abilities. So it doesn't get the damage, but does the same effect just a little bit later.
Yeah.
So Radiant have to walk themselves back to the point. That's already at 84%. And look at this, 5 members. All 5 members are backed up on the side of Radiant right now, and Bustdown, easy capture after an early team fight win.
And what's interesting here is a little bit of a mix and match from Saris in this loadout that sometimes works well under this amount of pressure, doesn't necessarily work too well. Umbral Gate at a high level, something we've seen with a Soul Collector aggressive Saris, means less points in Dark Whisperer, which is more movement when you're in trouble, but really less points in Blood Pact, and that's what's supposed to keep her alive. She's doing a lot of healing, but 140 health a second, that means nothing. She needs 3 seconds to essentially out-heal a Ashe flat cannon shot. That is not going to get the job done. Under pressure, this Saris cannot really do much and is really counting on Umbral Gate, but she's just so locked into healing, it's been hard to get that movement speed.
Ooh, just gets clipped by through time and space there. Is there anything that loadout, you trade out what you had just mentioned, is there anything, though, that it benefits? Is there a different thing that comes forward as a strength now with that loadout?
Not really, because it's a myriad. You either need to go full Umbral Gate and 40% movement speed and really work around that, or I think you need a little bit more healing and sustain. You're already operating off a max heal, which is what Saris does. Keep that restore soul cooldown as low as possible. But right now, it feels like they're going to have to look at a lot bigger issues here. I don't think this payload is getting pushed back anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, those are the micro things, but the macro of the game is a lot of big blue kills showing up on that kill feed down there. Everyone getting involved in this one. The last 2 members of Radiant are just going to have to back off.
Yep.
And Bustdown didn't quite catch the timer, but that's about as fast of a 4-0 as you can find. They come out firing here.
Yeah, this was not a match that I think they felt good about looking back at the tape or in the experience, so they need to go back to the drawing board.
They do. They'll have a chance to do it here in game number 2, but game number 1 is in the books. Let's send it back to Gore and Nick to break it down.
Well, it went by pretty quickly, I'd say, overall. Bustdown, I think, asserting their dominance over Radiant the way that you would kind of expect it based on the standings and based on play in the past, but still a little faster than I really expected out of them. And, of course, Aryavan did really well on that Leon, being able to come through. I believe at the beginning of that round was like 3-0-6, ended at 5-0-9, so always up and over.
Still rocking that same style of loadout, so interesting to know that it can still work. We were very curious. This style seeing some adjustments, particularly to one card. Heraldry, I believe, is the name of it. Gives some cooldown reduction for every target that you hit with your presence. This is just prevents you from being able to get those full hard resets multiple times per fight. While not getting elimination, you could see here when Aryavan is getting eliminations, he is still getting the full resets on this very potent ability. So I don't think this playstyle is quite dead just yet.
And it is that shift, right? Instead of putting as many points into cooldown on hit, you're running cooldown on elimination for Leon instead. Because, I mean, I think at max rank is about 30%, which still hits pretty hard in terms of the cooldown reduction. But it was a 4-0 there for Bustdown. I think Radiant trying to kind of equalize it as we go towards Frog Isle. And one of the things I normally throw out here is, like, because we have a couple of players, specifically in console, that, one, aren't afraid to pull out snipers, and two, make them look really good doing it. And if Bustdown can have that kind of performance on the Stone Keep, then I feel like we could be in for a good performance here on Frog Isle as well.
Well, we'll have to see. So far, a little bit of a switch up here in the bans. Vivian takes a seat. Genos takes a seat as well. It will be the Talus. Torvald, Talus, Vivian plus something else usually. Whatever it is, maybe the Genos, like in this case, perhaps a Victor, perhaps a Tyra. Something priority is let slip through to Radiant though, and they will choose the Victor. Bustdown now have the opportunity to take front lines, fall in the same priority as they would on PC, but kind of like after Victor, Vivian, Tyra's, Talus's, things like that.
And it is just because of that pressure and that you can see Vivian, Victor, and Talus prioritize. And Talus actually on this map is one of my favorites. He's also one of my sleeper picks right now. I feel like Talus could like be a big shake-up in a PC meta in the right area. I feel like it's just Cassie does. In my eyes, Talus is really good against Ruckus, and Cassie does that better than he does. So unless she gets banned away or picked away, there's no good reason really to lean towards him just yet. But here, he does a ton. His tracking's really solid, and his overcharge is incredible in terms of damage output.
One of the unique things about Talus when he came out was he had a lot of loadout cards that were just items. They were just passive. Damage reduction, lifesteal, some cauterize, things like that. And then the dev said, well, we don't like this. We don't want this to be a thing. We don't want loadouts to just be passives from the item store that you're already getting, and they're not exactly super unique in that, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, Talus sort of lost some of his luster. Now he still has some of the lifesteal, some of the damage reduction cards, and really that philosophy ended up only really being applied to the cauterize or anti-heal cards, and that was enough to take out a lot of characters that were only being picked for those anti-heal cards, a la Drogo's, Cassie's Kinetics, and Antediluvian from Talus.
Well, Bustdown are comfortable on the Leon. They grab the Bomb King once again, whereas Radiant grab the Victor and the Kinessa, so they have the range in their favor. And I think the question is going to be the shots. Leon, though, was already firing on all cylinders. Bomb King, I believe, ended that game at 4-0-4. They had 3 members that were Undying Dreams. Their support was one of them. So overall, Bustdown looking to keep control in Frog Isle.
And the sniper advantage, though, going over to the side of Radiant. They have the Kinessa, but the Leon still on the side of Bustdown here. And if the pacing continues from the last game for Bustdown, if they are able to play the same way, this could be another quick one. They get Ashe again. Or I should say, excuse me, that Radiant get Ashe. Whitey this time is going to be on the Con, Yui on the Barrack. How do you feel about the Kinessa going over to Radiant? Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I think it's more than that.
Oh, wow. Well,
I think it's more than that. A whole new world.
Fluxy.
A new headshot for you and you.
What's the next line? I was going to follow up with you on the second one. Unfortunately,
I don't really know. For you and me, that's where we'll be.
Out in theaters now.
I was doing both parts at that point. Since
You
Dave,
did. I know. I was trying. I apologize.
My goodness.
It's not that I was trying to hang you out to dry there. I just totally did not know the next line of the song.
You got to brush up on your Aladdin, buddy.
I haven't seen it yet. I know. I need to. Radiant.
Yeah. It's only like 20 years old.
Well, I have seen the old one.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the new one.
That's your reason that you should know the song.
Ooh, good blast shot. That's not blast shot. The
See how Dave tries to change the
yeah, I'm trying to get out of this because I'm under attack right now.
He has no excuse to not know
I'm under
Whole New
attack.
World. It's been a song for 20
Okay,
years.
if you want me to sing A Whole New World over and over and over.
I do. That was on your casting practice list, dude. This is what we give you a new sheet every week.
You're right. You're right.
You know? Watch the Bruins, baby. Bruins. See this, some NHL casting. Watch Aladdin. Learn A Whole New World. Come ready to
There's too much
possibly
going on
improvise.
You're right.
Watch The Bachelorette. Be ready to give me details and updates.
Which I did this morning already.
And respond to my criticisms and highlights, which you've done.
It happened already.
And we now have the world. No one to tell us no or where to go.
That's like the
or
wrong.
Say we're only dreaming.
That's like the wrong person got the
he's
lyrics.
Not, guys,
the wrong
you know
person.
what? He should. It's a whole new world.
They gave you the lyrics, and you already know.
Yeah,
all the
I know.
words.
That was a misplay. That was throwing the rock to the wrong guy. I had the hot hand, but he needed to get my other teammates involved.
Do you know who?
Wow!
Sing this song.
This might be the greatest 3 minutes of casting I've ever done in my life.
Well, honestly, the problem is we transitioned to A Whole New World
based on
right when the pop-off happened on the Kinessa. Radiant were able to capture the point because of it. Bustdown, though, holding their own on defense here. The 3 snipes, I think, just too much for them to overcome in this case. I can show you the...
Silence 2 minutes later.
Shining, shimmering splendor.
Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? Oh my, dude, look how OP I am. I actually knew this. And I didn't even sing. Oh, thank God Bashor wasn't monitoring the cast at this point.
I know. My ears.
We would have been clipped. It would have been important.
Would have been. It still might be.
All right.
I'm sad that even happened, though.
You know, Radiant Esports, I would have expected a 2-0 sooner than this.
Well, the point capture didn't surprise me because they had Kinessa popping off for 2 perfect headshots, finishing off a 3rd kill, and then they got the deep zone in, which is what you see on Frog Isle a good bit of the time. Fluxy and Sheik, though, they've been really good this round. That's good for a push in here, so it is 2-0. 6-2-6, 5-0-4 for Fluxy. Naiju and Tapsy doing their jobs as well.
Yeah.
Wildcard trying to hold in there is the sniper seemingly just that extra little bit of ranged advantage. Is just enough at the moment.
You know,
What are you doing?
nothing, man. Dave's a good boy, guys. Yes, you're right. I'm drawing Dave. He said he was going to draw me down the line. Oh, they want their computer back. That's funny. He tried to do it slyly. He's trying to draw me down the line, and then I draw him down the line. And you know what? You played. You yes and ended right
Well,
there.
that's what's important.
And
right?
that's what's important, Dave. And that shows that you're a team player. And you know what? For that, I'll take you out to dinner this week.
Yes, and?
No, that's it. Yes, and wait, never mind. You can take me out to dinner.
I can take you out.
Yeah, cool.
I really carried the
like that,
duet,
yes, and.
so I think you should take me out to dinner in this case. That was a good seismic crash from Tapsy starting this one off. Fluxy's been really firing on all cylinders here. The 1 cylinder that the Kinessa gun has been firing, needless to say, 11 streak.
Yeah.
And with the fast cap closing in on point number 3 here, it's always the interesting dynamic of Frog Isle that, like, the team who is sort of losing the set can randomly pop off out of nowhere and take a 4-0.
Yeah. Well, I mean, exactly, a whole new world. We never thought this was possible. I mean, the thing is, it's not necessarily Frog Isle, it is and it isn't. The idea is that...
Oh, no.
He almost found a whole new landscape there. The thing is, it's really about this Kinessa and the lack of dive. Bustdown said, all right, we'll call your bluff. You can't hit shots in your Kinessa. We don't need to go. We'll win the fight, allowing you to survive. And that's clearly not possible. Fluffy says, you guys absolutely got this wrong. It was a gamble. It was a bet. If he could have done it, cool. But you got it so wrong. I'm killing everybody. I'm not dying at all. And you guys are going to lose. That's what basically happened.
That's exactly what it's looking like right now. The knockbacks from Naiju have been great so far. Every once in a while you'll see a knockback off of the map, maybe one or two. Here comes the King Bomb. Catches a grenade on its way through. That's a bit unfortunate. Gets the healing through though. Finds a stun now onto the Ash. That's going to be a Poppy Bomb off of the map. So Radiant down a man. Wild card with the first in this one. So now it's on to Radiant to answer back. This payload's getting close. If they find some kills, this could end up going through. If they're able to stall, the healing comes in for Bustdown, and Radiant have to regroup and try again.
Well, hopefully they have the ability to capture some points, kill some people. Seems like that's been a common theme for them. And in the next 55 seconds, I don't expect that to change pretty heavily. For a team that kind of dared the Kinessa to exist, I'm not quite sure what their plan was. I mean, maybe an overpower. You know the angles that she's peeking. Overpower, get her out of the fight, then you win easy. A lot easier said than done. Maybe the confidence of Splitstone Quarry gave them a little bit too much confidence going into it here. Maybe they simply just couldn't figure it out in the pick ban phase, and things went awry. And I think maybe just it's why he felt a little more confident in the Ashe matchup than maybe he should have. Like this has happened all the time. Playing the Rock though, that's very important. That's something these players will know. That'll stop you from the knockback.
I mean, it's really been Fluxy and Sheik back and forth the entire time, dancing around the pillar within an inch of his life. Sheik is able to stay alive on the victor in that case. And Fluxy, 13 streak now. We'll have to look at the slash lines, but I don't think he died that game. We recover from a whole new world. And a whole new world Radiant is found with a 4-0 over Bustdown.
That's about right. Dave, if I showed up with a magic carpet, would you hop on?
Of course. Who would?
That's
who
all I
would
was
not
really
ride
trying
a
to figure
magic
out,
carpet?
dog.
Who would not ride a magic carpet?
Oh, so it's not about me? Anybody show up on a magic carpet, you gonna go?
I would be more concerned if a stranger popped out of nowhere with a magic carpet. I would be a little more hesitant.
That's what I'm saying.
If you rolled in, yeah, I'd trust you immediately. But a stranger rolls in.
You might get kidnapped, bro. Get out of here, bro.
Is that what happened in that movie? Is that just a veiled kidnapping? Is Aladdin?
I'm done with you.
All right, we're sending it. Take it away, Desk.
What?
Tough.
Yep.
Yep.
So, hey, just as fast as Bustdown took one map, Radiant took another. And apparently Dave may or may not be getting kidnapped on a flying carpet, which may or may not be piloted by Rainday.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I messed up piloted there. Either way, they're in a whole new world in the booth as of right now, whereas Radiant are in a whole new world, and Fluxy was the one that got them there.
They certainly did. 9-0 on the Kinessa. I mean, this is quite the bounce-back performance from Radiant Esports. Maybe something to do with the draft. I think there was a time, and Console might still be in that era of, especially with his little flankers that get played. If you can get a sniper on Frog Isle with no way to answer it, a la no Eevee, no Talus, no nothing really to dive this backline and get in its face. I mean, of course, a guy like Flux is going to make you pay for that.
And I think one of the biggest things that actually came out, and it's several times where you saw that happen. Dreams, unfortunately for her, was just constantly locked down. That's like the downside. In the first game, I believe Dreams was undying. This game was First Blood coming through, and I think Furia already having more difficulty, I think, keeping up in terms of healing because of the fact that you have to connect the beam already makes it a little more difficult. Then you add in the fact that you're now in a position where you're getting targeted more often than not by the sniper. Made it very rough for that Kinessa to continue the route I think she wanted to be on.
Serpent Beach is where we will head next. 4-0 through the first two. That might be, like I said, some element of the draft on Frog Isle, but another element of maybe just starting with their best foot forward here. And as we get later on into this set, I don't know if the maps will start to even out, and we might just see Bustdown is the higher seed. Bustdown maybe starts to take control, but that was certainly a hell of a performance from Radiant, and I'm definitely watching them with eyes wide open from now on.
And I think definitely a showcase, to do that, right? It's just not someone you can count out anymore. And I think that's actually a huge boost to Radiant. Unfortunately for them, though, with the way the bans go, they have to get rid of Torvald. You need to get rid of Genos because he's so flexible and so strong in the current meta. To leave that Talus wide open, and of course they scoop it up immediately. Serpent Beach is going to be a more interesting map for him. This one's one where we've discussed kind of vertical flanks a little bit more often. I think Eevee always comes up in PC because it's really good for her, but Buck, even in the past, has been really strong here.
Young Buck.
I don't think we're going to see him because he's just far and forgotten as of right now, but Talus is going to be a good second.
Buck is just the Fernando of flanks. He is super old, really kind of simple kit, does some damage, jumps, slows you, heals himself. Very, very simple stuff from Buck. And so as a result, I think that his kit is either good enough or not good enough. He either does enough of those couple of simple things or not enough of those couple of simple things.
Well, Bustdown have like the reverse draft, where normally you think maybe support and 2 damage dealers towards the end, the bottom 3. They grab those up first, but they have the pick of whatever they really want for their front lines right now. Ashkan, Imani, Maldamba, Radiant with the flexibility pick. What do you think? Is there like a distinct like counter to Talus, or is it just kind of control him?
Honestly, Torvald is a pretty decent answer for Talus, unfortunately. He's got the silence to prevent you from popping away of your own will.
True.
Like Rune of Travel, if it expires, it doesn't matter if you're CC'd or what. Rune of Travel will just hard pull you from any situation back to safety. But being able to bubble the targets that he's going on, being able to recharge your own shield and try and just weather that storm is a pretty decent answer.
It's a really weird day where we're only doing one console set, and yet we're seeing the second Sky game of the day. That's the interesting pickup here as Radiant come through, and I think are going to probably showcase why Sky is so high prioritized. Out of the two of them, between the 2 flankers, right, Talus and Sky, do you think one has a leg up over the other, or do you think it's going to be kind of an even match?
I think Sky does a little bit more damage than Talus, but Talus has more utility, self-healing, reposition, things like that.
So he can keep himself safe, get himself out of dodge fast if he needs to. But it's going to be Serpent Beach where we're going. Look for some long-range fights as Radiant look to fight back against Bustdown, and Bustdown look to fight back against Radiant.
On the back foot for one of the only times I could say that against one of the other 2 teams in the bottom half of this division is Bustdown, though. A 4-0 on Frog Isle sets Radiant up beautifully 1-1 here. And this is a big telling game, I think, for the Bustdown side of things. If this one goes the same way that the last one did, Radiant will actually be out in front. What are your thoughts on the Sky Talus in this game?
I think aggressive flanks can pay huge dividends for the team that knows how to manipulate them. As you can see here, Wildcard's in a great spot, and he's going to find the first kill, and that already sets them up to win this fight. I mean, they take out Westside. That's the support. They have to fall back, or they're just going to slowly but surely keep dying because they don't have that sustain. And so, just like that, fight 1. 1 point, thanks to Talus.
Could have been Sky, granted, on the opposite side, but in this case, it is Bustdown who find the positioning, wrap around, good for 1 kill. Actually, very good target priority, and already have the objective. I think they got on it, did not step off that entire time. And that's well played from Wildcard there, because I know if I round that corner and I see 5 members all in a little ball grouped up, I'm just free-firing them. I'm just going to town on the group.
Target.
He picks the target, finds the kill onto the healer.
He's going to do it again.
Yet again, he gets in behind. He's going to be able to Rune of Travel back, get some healing. But look at that, chunks down Westside.
And Fluffy Fluffy dies because of it, because Westside has to slide back. He goes into the reload instead of using an Mending Spirits immediately, which was a mistake by Westside. Should have just hit that immediately. No need to reload. He felt he was under pressure. And then they pick up, obviously, the Imani. So this is great. This can now snowball into Tapsy, who's on the con. The Blitz Upper doesn't quite connect, although the damage immunity is going to save him. Now True Power's available. So, I mean, this is really just Talus-dominated performance here.
I mean, he's, in a weird way, almost playing as a frontliner. He's able to wrap around the side, blink in, get the damage. I mean, granted, that's what Talus does. He gets in, blinks out, gets the damage. Time Bomb comes through, finds one, but not missing shots as Wildcard cleans up the Imani. He's continuing his tear now onto Naiju. Is he able to win the engagement? He does with some well-placed headshots. Sheik as well, though, has a couple in this fight. Oh, they call his bluff. Wrap the corner here. Oh, he heals himself up. Oh, he's able to get out. What a play.
Are you kidding me? The Rune of Travel that healed from Saris. Wildcard still alive. You've got to be kidding.
That's tilting. You have him dead to rights in a corner. Runes of Travel in the same exact spot to heal himself up. Now he's back in this fight. Gets stunned up. Finally, I'm going to assert my dominance in order to stun you and kill you after the terror that you've caused my team up to this point. So the Ashe ultimate down, back on cooldown. Bustdown to continue our downs. Has a few ultimates ready. Dome Shield comes through. Still true power, still the Exiles as well. 2 kills, though, they might not need to use them.
There's just damage coming from behind, and that's the problem. Area Van has been slowly but surely working on Naiju, and now this is just a problem of numbers, and there's not enough mathematics in the world. There's not a kind of mathematics, so to speak, that can solve this equation. It is just too many people, too much damage. Radiant Esports don't have enough health to soak it up, and it's a 2-0.
5 greater than 1 in this case.
True.
Bustdown had 5 members, Radiant had 1, and that's a battle you're going to win 10 times out of 10. 1 kill on 3 members of Bustdown, or 1 death, I should say, on 3 members of Bustdown, 0 on the other 2. Sheik had a couple kills. One of them was a time bomb, a couple flanks paying off for some damage, only one of them resulting in a kill. And then, of course, the assert dominance for the kill from Naiju onto Wildcard, just to get rid of that pesky Talus.
Yeah.
What is what's the game play change to deal with a Talus that's just kind of running free throughout your team?
You know, it's an interesting matchup. There's nothing to guarantee it. Just like he's trying to force people's cooldowns, you got to force his Rune of Travel early, and then you have to be in a position to where he's out. Once he's out, he's very vulnerable. But when he's in this power position where he can run at you, he knows he's got a full health bar. He knows he can go back across the map to his team safely. This is the time you got to pressure him. Unfortunately, they don't feel comfortable trying to overcommand as well.
Could be a good time bomb. Most of the damage gets blocked off by the staircase and the building around the waterfall there. The Dragon's coming through now as well, and they really need this one to pay off. But unfortunately, Bustdown with a couple of kills here almost seal up their 3rd point of this map. Naiju answers back. The Wildcard's just dancing around way too much. Not too much value out of that Dragon either. The kills actually effectively coming out all blue except for 1 in that fight. That's point number 3 now for Bustdown.
Yeah, and I said through time and says I meant true power. When is that going to be used? It hasn't been used all game long. At this point,
I'll levy the question. When, in your eyes, when do you use a true power?
I think during the Amani would have been the play, but because I don't know, she physically might just get knocked back, and she was close enough to the water where that might have actually sent her there, especially with a follow-up of a blitz upper. He probably could have just got her out of bounds. She might have been able to cancel out and then maybe Fire glide. So maybe that's why he didn't risk it. But there hasn't been a job that he's needed to get done.
That's true.
That his Veracharger couldn't get done first.
That's sort of where my thought was, where in his eyes it's like, all right, this is a situation where I would use it, but we've already got it under control.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the next situation when we maybe need it, but that hasn't really arose just as of yet. Tapsy starts things off well here.
You can't let this happen.
Yeah, wow, he's able to dance out again. Gets almost immediately topped off by the Saris healing. And look how much he's controlling. 3, 4 members even of Radiant just in that room so low. And it's the Saris healing and then Wildcard on the Talus just keeping them in that zone.
Yeah, and very impressed by that. I thought Area Van was maybe holding down his line of sight, but it really was just the Saris. And giving him enough healing, he feels confident. It is a very difficult pair. She can just link up to him, doesn't have to be line of sight. He can go do his thing, and then Rune of Travel back with a full heal, whether from his healer or from himself. This was Bustdown all in control. They had basically their run of the mill on this one.
They did. Talus always finds himself in the ban column here in the Console League, but he comes through in this one, and that's good for a double-digit streak and win number 2 here for Bustdown. 4-0 there on Serpent Beach. That's pretty convincing. That's an important way of bouncing back after that Frog Isle game.
Very, very important. They need to basically make sure they never allow the Talus like that out without really good ideas of how they're going to either bait him in and deal with him or counter his mobility, counter his aggression with something else. The sky just wasn't enough.
Yeah, it was a tough one for Radiant. It looked like their lineup jumped on a magic carpet with a stranger they had never met. They were just missing from that one entirely. Let's send it back to the desk to break that one down.
4-0, 4-0, 4-0. But it's a 2-1 as of right now in Bustdown. I mean, it's just slugfest, I guess is the best way to describe it. One team hits hard, the other team hits harder, or just as hard back.
This
time
might be
it was
the
Bustdown's
fastest
turn.
5-game set we ever have.
It's just 4-0s the entire way through.
6-minute 4-0s both ways, the whole way.
Well, it's been impressive, but of course when it comes down to it, you had some high streaks for the front lines. You had an Undying Dreams once again. The wild card was 9-1-5, and he was able to pull the Talus through, and I think gave us a good showcase as to why it normally gets banned away.
And I wanted to see this because I've had some moments of watching and waiting for Talus to get picked up. Finally seeing him, and then being like, well, why? I mean, it's like it can make its way in, and it kind of went this way on PC a little bit, where we had a couple of Talus players who got it with Torvald, felt good about it, wanted to play it on its own, and it just never had a leg to stand on in those instances. So I actually do enjoy seeing Talus do well on his own. It's a character that's been very in and out of the meta, like hard in or hard out.
Yeah.
So always having a place in console is definitely a good spot for Talus, the tracking king himself.
Well, like you said, has some utility to keep himself going. We're going to Jag Falls, and it's banned out Bright Marsh. I was going to say, if they do it right, we could just go through all 5 of the just like standard Paladins maps, just Stone Keep to Frog Isle to Serpent Beach to Jag Falls to Bright Marsh, but they banned out the one of them, so if this does go 5, if Radiant win right here, you go somewhere that is, you know, one of the outliers, but that puts more pressure on Bustdown.
Well, first pick Radiant this time around. Bans are staying close to the same. Victor is going to take a seat. And now it's Talus or it's Genos for Bustdown, and they are going to ban the Talus.
Understandable.
Apparently allow Genos through. He's definitely... Not much has changed. It's just that little adjustment to upfront healing numbers. Luminary's been the same as it's always been for a long time. It did get nerfed a long time ago, but it's been the same for a long time. Just that little bump in upfront healing was enough, I guess, for everyone to just unanimously scream Genos' name from the rooftops.
Well, I mean, he does change a lot. Damage is good, but like you said, that hasn't necessarily changed. It's mainly just the fact that, well, now it's not the end of the world. You're not trading that damage for no healing, essentially. You're trading it for, admittedly, small healing, but still some healing, especially compared to what he used to be able to do. But they get Leon Khan on the other side. House Ico coming in for Bustdown. And this is an interesting map for both of those champions, because it's not necessarily like a fight for high ground, but Khan can still find really good ults. Like, it's kind of a push and pull with the both of them.
Yeah, Jaguar Falls is one of the maps that really doesn't do a ton to dictate what compositions you can run and what's going to be viable, what's not going to be viable. Radiant get this double support thing going, so maybe just really trying to target out Dreams here and
Binary
make her
Star.
uncomfortable. They get the Ceres and the Genos. Is this too many eggs in one basket? I would say probably, because Bustdown are getting a lot of really powerful stuff.
Yeah, they are.
To the point where it doesn't matter. You could sit somebody down for their first game of Paladins ever, park them on support, and they could probably do okay with this Bustdown 4-stack in front of them.
I mean, it's Leon and Tyra who are going to do a ton of damage, and then you put 2 of the highest dealing front lines with them. The only downside Bustdown have is they have no big point tank versus the Barrack, but I think their goal is to kill him faster than he can stand on the objective.
And they will do a damn good job of that. I mean, you look at Tyra, she has innate 15% lifesteal. Atlas has the ability to heal himself through second chance. Battle Shout from Khan. They barely even need a support as it stands. I don't know if the support class was the right one to attack for Jag Falls.
Well, they're throwing me out for a loop with Grok being the last pick, so let's go down to the casters and get this game rolling.
Here we are down in Jag Falls.
Jaguar Falls.
Jaguar Falls. That's a throwback right there.
Yep.
That was months ago.
Yep.
Up in the skybox, floating around. A beautiful view from up top here.
How much do you think that cost?
The skybox we're in right now?
Yeah. No, they're in.
Oh,
I guess we're in the skybox.
The casters are in the skybox.
The proverbial skybox, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
I thought we were talking.
What's the going rate on apartments on Jaguar Falls?
I don't know. Depends on how many Jaguars you want to live with, because apparently they lowered the rent. Wouldn't you believe it?
I would believe it.
Yeah, they're pretty dangerous.
Unless you're a large cat of some sort, probably won't be liking the real estate here in Jaguar Falls. Bustdown snagged the first kill, and look at that, 3 members dancing around on the point already. 60% for them, and this is what we saw repeatedly on Serpent Beach. They find 1 kill, take the positioning that they need after that one, and then basically just capture the point straight on through after that.
Someone toggled some 3P on. It's nice to see these champions of that in that way.
Ooh, that's a nice skin.
But if you're wondering what am I looking at, that is what you are seeing. It is available, although it is not available in competitive matches and ranked. And
Zen.
this is
we don't see Zen very much anymore.
We don't. This is really the talking point, I think, heading into the draft. It's what can the Zen do? 850 going for you know, a crucial kind of impact here with the Yomi strike. Aryavan misses on the Enlightenment. Niju just blocks it out. These two teams kind of going back and forth here in many different ways.
I mean, I have to give the nod to Radiant here in the past. At least, I should say on the last map. Ooh, that's a good double setback there. The follow-up damage not quite there too well. Follow up. Dreams finds a kill on the, of course, I mean, the healer Grok. I mean, there's so much to look at in this one. We mentioned the Zen Grok.
Wow.
Healer Grok comes through as well. Wow. The Tempest opens the doors. Off to the races go Bustdown, and they capture point number 1.
Now, there's something I've been really wanting to see.
All right.
And we got to make sure Whitey has it in his loadout. Let's make sure. We take a look at this Atlas loadout. Okay, he's got Beyond the Veil. Not 5, but 4. I've been wanting to see what a Grok Tempest would look like with the movement speed if the Grok goes through. Also, the Unstable Fissure of Atlas. So he gets the movement speed from his ultimate, and then he gets the movement speed from, of course, the nice Exiles, by the way, from the Unstable Fissure and Beyond the Veil. But then the best champion right now to find that out would be Tyra, who could also increase her movement speed with her Crossfire. So if a Tyra happens to be in a Tempest, run through one of those and activate Crossfire, she's probably...
It's got to go fast comp.
I mean, it's going to be like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Exciting to see. Wish, I guess we didn't, we kind of saw it. I mean, I guess it could happen. We will see that interaction, hopefully.
Hopefully.
At least once throughout this game. Truly something very funny to see. Those shots are good from Sheik here, showing that Zen still has a place in the right scenarios. Dreams just plugging away some damage on this Grok as well.
It actually is more interesting to see the Zen loadout, to be honest, because he's been changed. He's been shifted, and unfortunately he's going down there to the pressure, but the way that his billow, you know, kind of was adjusted and nerfed, so to speak, has really put him out of the mines. But in many ways, in the mines. Big stuff there from the ult. Can't quite find too much, though, Dave. And in fact, Aryavan goes down.
Yeah, I thought that was a beautiful moment where they were going to be able to capitalize on a great convergence. Unfortunately, does not quite work out. Still flanking around here is Sheik. Do you spot anything in those cards?
Not much in the cards. Dragon Oil, the big conversation there. Not quite another full swing with only 2 ammo extra, but the billow speed, pretty standard. And really just shifting the value of the hideout. No longer able to extend the billow duration. And so it's going to be a standard duration. The only thing you can adjust is the speed of it.
Got Fluxy on this Genos. Another thing to talk about is, I'm assuming this is binary start Genos because they have the healing from the Saris coming through as well. Lots of points to break down in this one. I totally didn't even realize it was damaged Genos until we saw Fluxy playing it, and he's getting a few kills, 4, 2, and 5. About midway on the damage charts for him, but Leon on the opposite side, though, really taking this one over is Aryavan. 0 seconds left, so overtime now started. I guess you could call it in favor of Radiant. It is. If they're able to get more of these kills, it's a 1-for-1. Wildcard and Sheik both adding 1. It's a Leon for a Zen.
Will they do it?
At the moment here, the Crossfire is still ready if they want to pull that one out. A good setback gets Niju out of the fight just for a moment. The shield comes down from Barrack as well to block out some of this damage through time and space. They're able
They've got
just
a
to
Tempest
dance
now.
out of the side. Here's the Tempest if they want it. The wall, is down as well. Assert dominance. Doesn't find the stun. Here's the Tempest.
Where's our Tyra? Is she ulting? I hope so. No, not yet. But it does give her the movement speed that she needs. Says, I don't need to waste my own. The Zen pops out right away. You can see how limiting that is now and how much of his defensive utility has kind of gone down and shifted as a result of that. Can't stall out payloads nearly as long. If she needs to, she can go into the Crossfire, but why not? If you could just throw a Firebomb, save it till next round, and get the 2-0.
That's kind of the true power question we had from the last game. Is when are they going to use true power?
Exactly.
It's like, well, when we need it.
Yeah, when we need it.
In this case, I mean, it would have been a good Crossfire, but probably reading the moment and just saying, all right, well, we're probably going to win this one anyway.
You know what, Dave?
Might as well save Crossfire for a rainy day.
If Tyra really read the moment there, she'd know that.
She read our minds.
There's no reason not to.
That's true. I guess that's really fair.
You know, standings pretty much what they are. There's really no reason not to try to show the coolest thing that you could possibly show on the broadcast for today.
No, that's true. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So that's my mistake. I said maybe for a rainy day, but of course there are no rainy days here on Jaguar Falls. One of the many reasons why our skybox is so expensive up here in the sky.
Exactly.
The weather is incredible this time of year and all times of year. That's exactly what you hope for.
It's, you know, the Paladins version of Los Angeles, essentially.
As opposed to Serpent Beach, where it's nighttime 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Bustdown start off very well here. A couple kills coming through. Tapsy answers back on the Barrack. But unfortunately, Wildcard continues his tear through this one. Whitey as well.
Still no ult used.
You know?
Bummer.
I think the ult button's broke.
It might be. And, I mean, at least throw the wall up. At least run through it. Go beyond the veil. I mean, have something happen here.
Go, Crossfire
towards
now.
it. Go towards it. Come on. You're right there. Oh, my God. I mean, this is disrespectful.
I know. Problem is
So
now
close.
whenever he throws up his wall, that's all I'm going to be able to
I
look
know.
at is Wildcard just inching ever closer towards it, but never
He got
never
as
going
close
through.
as he could have without actually
Actually
going
proccing
through
the
it.
movement speed, right? I mean, again, might not need it. You got an 8 streak, 2 non-streaks, 2 8 streaks for Bustdown here. More of the same would result in Bustdown taking the 3-1 win. Radiant had a great fight back on Frog Isle, but Bustdown have just been too clean on the resulting maps after that. Overpower is going to be good for 1 for Yui. It's going to get rid of Naiju, the big frontline presence. Now it's down to Tapsy to hold down the base here for Radiant, but the kills, unfortunately, are all coming up for Bustdown.
That's the Crossfire Tempest, but it's too late. Actually, no, it wasn't even the Crossfire.
It was just movement speed.
Unbelievable. Does an ult all game long. And you call yourself a Tyra main?
Well, they win.
I have no idea if he calls himself a Tyra main.
But are you disappointed?
You know, for a great result, I'm very...
it is.
Never mind!
The Crossfire finally comes. No, he nearly got a kill out of it. Crossfire comes through, but what's important is Bustdown looked really clean today. They took it to Radiant. Well, I was going to say all 3 games, but 3 out of...
Yeah, the numbers. The numbers were in favor
The numbers are hard. Of
the team.
They won the game.
Yeah.
They scored more points, and
They
that
did.
means they win the game in this case. Let's send it back to the desk to wrap the day.
Watching Dave fluster over the numbers, and hit that point
What do
where
they mean?
it really was that, wait a minute, what? How? But it was Frog Isle, map number 2. That was the one that was actually a really impressive showing for Radiant, but it was also their only showing. It was a 4-0, which is ridiculous to think about, but then everything else was a 4-0 for Bustdown.
We didn't pick Dave for his ability to do math, all right? We picked him.
I don't think we've chose any of us for the ability to do math. I've heard some numbers thrown out there that just don't make sense.
There's a golden rule of casting to not do math live on broadcast.
And yet we still do it.
I avoid it at all costs.
I try to.
Yeah, I really do, unless it's like 2 + 2. And then, of course, it's 5, you know?
Yeah, no. At least 7.
Wait a minute.
See, that's my secret. Specifically when, like,
That's my
Katie
secret.
will-
I'm always bad at math.
I'm always bad at that. No, Katie will ask me questions, and I always give, like, the most ridiculous, like, or she'll be like, I don't know, is this going to be too expensive? I'm like, dude, that's at least $2, so, like, I don't know, it's up to you. Like, as long you just set it so low of a minimum that you're perfectly fine. You're never wrong that way.
I always like to see Totemic Ward come through on a game every once in a while. It's a fun little talent. It gives everybody CC immunity, a ton of healing throughput as well. And when you have a composition that has the second chance, that has the battle shout, the innate lifesteal, I think it's cool to work that one in. When everybody can look after themselves a little bit, you can really death ball up. I think this is a composition that does that pretty well. It's very scary to be CC immune for that amount of time as well. You're talking no knockbacks, no void grips, no nothing slowing you down. And not needing to buy resilience too is kind of a neat thing that you can play around with that talent.
Well, here you can see the standings for EU Xbox. Bustdown winning that one sets them to 8-3, so that's Radiant to 3-8.
Yeehaw.
But Radiant are going to be 1 map overall closer in that gap, although it is pretty large. And admittedly, what you've been looking at for Minor League, if you were watching the first half of the day, it's the top 2 teams here. You're only looking at number 1 because we have 2 consoles, 2 regions, so that's 4 splits for all of the console teams. So you're going to be looking at the number 1 team from each region going to MSI. And for Europe, that has been decided. Flashpoint 11-0, Cyclone 11-0. Those two are going to be going to LAN. And when you look at North America, I believe Xbox has been chosen. Elevate is definitely going. And I think for NA PS4 down there at the bottom, there is still a chance that if Loki Scheming or Big Money Esports show up big next week, I can't remember who Heating Up is going to be playing, but whoever Heating Up plays, if they get even 2 maps of a loss and the other one's a 3-0, they could lose their spot, but it is going to be very big against them for that to happen.
I'll take things I won't count on for 300, Alex.
It's absolutely not common, I guess, is the best way to think about it right now. It's not guaranteed, but not pulled away, and it is going to be Loki Scheming that has to show up big to be able to take care of them, and Onslaught have to find theirs in a 3-0. But we're going to be watching, starting off the day with Flashpoint versus Stush. Stush, the only team so far that has taken a map off Flashpoint. Then seeing Cyclone and Bustdown. That's a number 1 and number 2 matchup, which I think is going to be pretty interesting to watch.
Certainly. A lot to definitely to look at in terms of fun little comps to be picked, because not a lot is going to change in these standings. Everything is relatively set in stone.
This is actually where I think I would love to see teams start to play around a little bit. Kind of like what we're seeing in the minor league, where it's like, well, we know we're going to LAN or we're not going to LAN, so let's see if we can play a different version of Paladins than what we've been used to. But this was the combination minor league, console league broadcast for today. Tomorrow we have Esports Weekly starting at 1, and then of course Thursday, Friday we have the Premier League. Next week's going to be starting back to the original schedule. We just took yesterday off for Memorial Day, but hopefully you guys enjoyed a long weekend as we did. And from myself, from everyone here at Skillshot, thank you so much for watching, but that's going to do it for today. We'll see you all tomorrow.
The Paladins Console League, brought to you by Skillshot, Hi-Rez, Evil Mojo, iNap, Steel Series, and Respawn.